Question 1. What is fate? Can one's own fate be controlled by efforts if so desired? Answer. Fate is indeed very complex to understand and also much more complex to define. What is stored for us in future, and what is to happen in our life without prior indications or with prior indications, is termed as our fate. So, the fate, which is likely to happen in future, cannot be predicted correctly by an expert or by the known existing science on this earth. At the most only probability can be indicated, what may likely to happen, but it is not necessary that the same will only happen. If someone wants to define fate by wordly meaning and by the meaning of various letters used in the word fate, one can say F stands for future, A stands for across, comma, T stands for transient, and E stands for episode. From this it is very evident that fate is nothing but future across transient episode. From this simple definition of fate, it is clear that the future of anyone cannot be predicted by any norms that are as correct as the past, which has already happened. This is because of the fact that fate depends on the transient episodes or phenomenon which are scheduled or likely to happen in the future. In this world everything is transient and moving, so which is likely to happen is governed by the transient phenomenon, and by which route and mode it happens cannot be exactly predicted. Hence the fate is always uncertain and is governed by multi-dimensional factors. In short, the transient, how it will shape, even the transient does not know, since it is instantaneous and temporary. Then, how can the predictors forecast? Hence, every prediction is just a broad guess within limitations and boundaries of science. What path an electron takes, when emitted, cannot be exactly predicted, since the electron is in the transient state under the influence of energy. So, the fate being future across transient episodes cannot be foreseen very vividly. That is the reason that no astrological science can lead us to predict the exact future. Its cause is very correct since it is based on the positions of the planets at the particular instant. The transient existing phenomenon occurring in the vast universe is beyond apprehension, and much beyond the present knowledge of the science. Broadly speaking, this transient phenomenon may influence the episode or not, and cannot be precisely predicted. So, the predictions may happen to be true or not. It all depends on the transient X unknown factor. This factor cannot be defined by any norms and by means of any known science. The scope of the X factor cannot be imagined, and nor its strength can be measured. It is an unknown, omnipresent, transient force, which can influence one's future even after his best efforts. This is what we name as the fate, which is beyond our control. In spite of the best efforts, leaving no stone unturned, with full preparations and using excellent horoscopes, the failure does happen, which ought to take place. In due course we understand that this is because of the effect of XFactor. This is the transient Maya illusion of the Ishvara, the Almighty or God. It is beyond the control of the human being, and no human science is able to control it. All of us are puppets in the hands of this X-factor. Neither it can be controlled and nor can be understood. So it is called prarabdha, predestined. It is nothing but fate, an uncontrolled phenomenon. Finally, we have to accept it happily or unhappily. There is no choice before us. It is clear that the X-factor, the fate, cannot be controlled. How this can be handled and can be dealt with so that it gives the minimum misery, it is the secret which needs to be understood and experienced by the Guru's grace and blessings of the Babaji. In short, the X-factor, being almighty, cannot be controlled by any human earthly horizontal efforts. After one's best effort, one must pray for the blessings of the X-factor for the success, so that the unknown obstacles on the path and process shall not appear. For this, the easiest way is to increase the spiritual power, to increase the spiritual magnetic force of the self, and to increase the quanta of spiritual light. Also, one must try to be with the supernal every day, maybe for a short interval, so as to get the grace of the Almighty. This will minimize the negative effect of the X-factor and will give spiritual strength to the self to dissolve and face the consequences of the negative effects of fate to the extent possible. This may help to replace the bite of a snake by an ant. Since X-factor is very powerful, and everything of this universe is in its control, it is His grace, which is ultimate. One must bow before this X-factor, and need not blame and curse oneself that if he could have done such and such, then these problems would not have come. It is all the baseless thinking of the mutative mind. What has to happen and what is predestined cannot be mutated. Only its intensity can be minimized and direction can be modulated by the wish of the X-factor. X-factor is the greatest, and it governs us in totality after our sincere efforts and intentions, since it is based on the effect of our net past and present karmas and their consequences of past lives. X-factor is always helping us by diluting the effect of ill actions of past lives committed by us knowingly or unknowingly, and keeps us moving by saving us from the unbearable miseries. He is very merciful and compassionate and tries to help us in all walks of life, giving us just the minimum misery as the reaction of our past misdeeds. So, in short, we need not curse fate, not the self, and nor any other human being. One himself is responsible for all his miseries as the net reactions of his actions. X-factor is just executing the effect and tries to help us in modulation by his compassion. Let us pay our gratitude to this almighty force. X-factor can only take us out from any misery of life and can save us. One must pray for his mercy without criticizing fate, self, one's efforts and other associates involved with oneself.